Hey guys, I'm so glad to have you back on another episode of Imperial Diecast. Now, before I begin this review, I just want to give a shout out to my 100 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to this channel. It means a lot to me. I remember just a few months ago when my channel only had like 50 something subscribers, and now it has doubled in size, so that is just great. And make sure you remain subscribed because I'll be delivering content, hopefully, for a long time to come. In today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the 1/18 scale Maisto 2000 Cadillac DeVille DTS. While DTS stands for DeVille Touring Sedan, the name DeVille is derived from the French de ville, meaning off the town. The DeVille series has enjoyed a long history spanning several decades, and this particular car you're looking at is the 8th generation DeVille, which was produced from 2000 till 2005, after which it was replaced by the Cadillac DTS. I bought this Cadillac DeVille DTS because while it is an iconic and quite commonly seen car in the United States, it is quite a rare and exotic sight over here in Europe, just like Buicks and Lincolns. At the same time, it is also a really nice and rare model made by Maisto, and especially in this color, I think it looks great. This car is also the only Cadillac in my entire model car collection. Primarily because I don't really like any of the older Cadillacs from the 1950s and the 1960s, which Maisto has also made. And the fact that almost all the other modern ones, apart from this DeVille, are sadly not made by any budget manufacturers, meaning I'd have to buy them from Podi or Kyosho, paying over €100 per model. The only other modern Cadillacs that I can think of are the CN and the XLR, both made by Hot Wheels, with the former being a supercar concept and the latter a convertible coupe, but visually similar to this one. But let's take a closer look at this budget model made by Maisto, so that I can show you why it is really worth the money. So I'm going to begin this review by telling you that this is quite a rare model by Maisto. If the model was also made in the year 2000, just like the real car it is supposed to represent, then this Maisto model is over 18 years old by the making of this video, and has been out of production for a long time. I found this model on eBay, and that's probably the only place where you can also find it these days, which means you won't be able to find it on Amazon or any of the other dedicated hobby diecast model car selling websites. Now on eBay, you should be able to find this for less than €50 shipped to your house. Personally, I got really lucky because I found this model while it was on an auction, and for some weird reason, there was very few participants in that auction. I managed to get this car for €14 and €12 shipping, which is around €26. So I was really lucky because that is a lot cheaper than it's supposed to be. And that tells you a thing or two about auctions, doesn't it? Sometimes not many people are interested in a particular car, and then when you don't have a lot of other people who are participating in the auction, there's a good chance you'll be able to get the model for cheap. This model came with the box, so that's another bonus. Sometimes models are sold without the boxes, but I was lucky enough to get it with the box, and while the model was somewhat dusty, that might have been the reason why not many people participated in that auction. And so when I got it, I just cleaned it, and now it looks great. But as I said, you should be able to find a new one in mint condition for less than €50 because they're not that expensive. At the end of the day, this is a Maisto model, so it's going to be affordable. There's two versions of this car in real life. One with the Cadillac logo as a hood ornament, and the second variant, which is the one that you're looking at right now, with the Cadillac logo on the grille instead. Maisto settled for the latter variant, probably because hood ornaments tend to rip off or easily get bent. So the front of the model looks quite great in my opinion. Let's just get the bad news out of the way first. The headlights each have 2 pegs on either side, which is a little disappointing, but on the other hand, at the end of the day, this is a Maisto model, a budget one. But on the other hand, let's take a closer look at these headlights. Check them out. They actually have a lot of detail. It is segmented into 3 parts, and the reflectors are made out of chrome, while you can also see the bulbs. And at the side over here, you can see that there is a separate texture for the indicator. And this car doesn't feature 1, but 2 fog lamps. And each of them are separate plastic pieces, which is the reason why they're secured with this peg. One of them is the actual fog light, and the other one is a cornering lamp. And now let's open up the hood to take a look at the engine. The hood stays up, so that is great, even though this is an 18-year-old model. The engine of the Cadillac DeVille DTS is a 4.6-liter Northstar 32-valve V8, which is also known for burning through a lot of oil. Even though this car is actually a daily driver, this engine wants to be revved. And it's a fairly capable engine because it has 300 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. You can see that Maisto put a lot of detail in making this engine stick out. And there is also a little bit of a depth to it, which is nice. However, none of the other parts have been painted. But still. Now, if we look further up, this grille here goes all the way through, which is good. And it's just a reminder of the old quality of the Maisto models in the early 2000s. And here we are at the car's side profile. Now, this is a front-wheel drive car, which is not so common among my collection, actually. As is customary for Maisto, this car has suspension, both on the front and back. Works after all these years. Now, let's get a close-up of the rims. Now, these are supposed to be 17-inch chrome-clad aluminum wheels, but Maisto has made them matte silver instead. I believe even in real life you can get a matte silver version instead of the chrome on these rims. In any case, I think they look unique. So, that's pretty cool. You got the Cadillac logo in the middle. And up here you have the slogan Eagle ZR45. Now if you look at the back, there is actually a brake disc. So Maisto did include that detail, even though the rims cover most of it. But I don't think we have a brake caliper. Let's take a look at the other one. Back here, nope. But on the tire wall, something else that's written is Goodyear. We got the gas cap up here. And now let's move on to the back. So at the back we have the Cadillac crest in 3D, which is good. Of course, the crest itself is an actual sticker, but it is raised a little bit so that it looks better than just a print, for example. Speaking of prints, we have the 32-valve Northstar written here, DTS on the other side, and in the middle we have a 2000 DTS license plate, as well as chrome-tipped quad exhausts down here, where the black part is an indicator of how detailed this car is, because even these days, recently, you can see Burago and Maisto cars where the entire exhaust is kept in chrome, where they forget to add in this extra little bit of detail. And so I'm glad that they didn't forget to do that on this older model. These LED taillights have pegs in them, unfortunately, but they do look nice, even though they don't have much detail. I mean, they have a little bit of a depth. What I also like is that this entire piece here, this brake light, is made of a separate plastic piece. So even though it has two pegs, the fact that they didn't just put a sticker here and actually made it a separate piece is always good in my book. Another little attention to detail is that on either side of the rear license plate we have lights that illuminate it. Like this and this are also separate pieces. And of course the whole thing is surrounded by a chrome trim. Now let's check out the trunk. Trunk also stays open, which is good. And on the inside there is not much to see. Of course we will not have any carpeting because this is a Maisto. But I do like the size of the trunk. I mean, you can store a lot of stuff in here. Fun little fact about the mirror is that on the real car they have LED turn signals incorporated behind it. Now let's take a look at the door. Maisto did make sure to put Zebrano wood trim on the doors. And you also got your silver door handles right here, and the Bose audio system down there. And now let's check out what is arguably the best part of the car, which is the two-tone interior. And regarding the interior, again you can see that Maisto went out of the way to give the wood trim a realistic look as it runs along the dashboard. And here's a look at the early 2000s center console with a lot of analog buttons. You can see that you have your dual zone climate control, as well as an AM/FM CD player, cassette player. Now this is a 4-speed automatic transmission. And over here, you can see that we have a center armrest, which in real life has a storage compartment. And even down here, Maisto made sure to include the wood trim, so it looks pretty nice. I believe you can even see the detail on the buttons, such as reverse, neutral, drive, and so on. Pretty nice. Now let's take a look at the driver's side. Let's open up the door, and in we go. Now if you pay attention, you can see that left of the steering wheel, Maisto has made sure to include all the buttons that are responsible for stuff like headlamp control, fog lamp control, rear trunk release, fuel door release, instrument panel, dim switch, and so on. The instrument panel itself is just a sticker, but on the real car, this is a digital gauge cluster with a flat LCD surface as well. You still can see details like the speedometer, the rev meter, and so on. We also have a little air vent included here. On the steering wheel itself, if you pay attention, you can see the raised Cadillac logo, as well as the small horn symbols. Now looking overhead, you have overhead reading lights, as well as buttons that act as a universal garage door opener. Now because this is just a budget sedan made by Maisto, the rear passenger doors cannot be opened. However, we can take a look at what's inside through the glass. And you can see that the beige interior was a really good choice because it makes all the details visible. The rear passenger seats are kept in the same amount of detail as the front ones. We have seat belts, including belt buckles, although they're not painted. We have air vents for the rear seat passengers. And now let's take a look at the bottom of the vehicle. You can see that it says 2000 DeVille, used under license, scale 118, Maisto, made in Thailand. So this was before Maisto decided to make all their vehicles in China. I believe they moved the production sometime in the early 2000s. So this was one of the last models that they made in Thailand. And you can see that the detail is quite satisfactory actually. The main camshaft is kept in chrome, splits into these two exhausts, along with the oil pan or muffler, whatever that is. Plenty of detail to go around. And I believe that this part here is for the spare wheel in the trunk. So that's pretty cool. Alright guys, I hope you liked my little review of the 1/18 scale 2000 Cadillac DeVille DTS by Maisto. One small little additional detail I forgot to show you is that right up here in the engine bay, you can see that Maisto included a little hood prop for just that little extra bit of detail. If you like this review, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed. There's lots of new content coming your way. So thank you once again. And this is Imperial Diecast, signing out. You don't know what you've been to me.